qui doit permettre d'accélérer les transitions énergétiques, écologiques et numériques des pays partenaires tout en améliorant la connectivité entre nos deux régions. Nous continuerons aussi d'investir dans les secteurs de l'éducation et des soins de santé, notamment pour garantir la souveraineté en matière de vaccins et de médicaments. Chers collègues, chers amis, il n'y a pas de prospérité sans paix et sans sécurité. Les attaques en mer Rouge le démontrent une fois de plus. La mer Rouge est essentielle pour le commerce international. Elle donne accès au canal de Suez, qui est la porte d'entrée et de sortie aussi des navires passant par cette zone reliant l'Asie à l'Europe. Les attaques des rebelles houthis ont engendré une baisse de 22% du trafic maritime. La tentative de déstabilisation de cette autoroute maritime est une menace directe pour notre prospérité commune. C'est pourquoi l'Union européenne, et le haut représentant Josep Borrell vient de l'évoquer, prend ses responsabilités en préparant une mission de protection de la liberté de navigation en mer Rouge. Et la Belgique entend participer à cet effort européen. Je rappelle que nous sommes actuellement déjà engagés dans la zone à travers le commandement de la mission Agénor pour garantir la liberté de navigation. Nous voulons que l'Indo-Pacifique, qui constitue l'épicentre du commerce maritime mondial, demeure un espace libre et ouvert au-delà des tensions qui se développent autour de frontières maritimes. La zone est confrontée à des menaces transnationales telles que la piraterie, le terrorisme, qui impactent la sécurité régionale. Face à cette situation, notre coopération a déjà porté ses fruits. Nous devons continuer à défendre la liberté de navigation. Nous devons veiller au respect du droit international, notamment le droit de la mer et ses procédures d'arbitrage, et encourager le règlement pacifique des litiges maritimes. Au cœur du multilatéralisme se trouve la reconnaissance de notre indépendance, notre interdépendance mondiale. Nous sommes tous confrontés aux conséquences des conflits, des replis sur soi ou encore aux menaces hybrides telles que la désinformation ou les cyberattaques. Les rapports de force qui font primer les actions unilatérales sur la coopération contribuent au délitement de l'ordre international. Toujours, nous soutiendrons la force de la loi plutôt que la loi de la force. Et je salue mon collègue fidjien. L'Indo-Pacifique et l'Union européenne ont un intérêt naturel à protéger l'ordre international fondé sur des règles, avec la Charte des Nations Unies en son centre, mais aussi de contribuer à la prospérité et au développement durable dans le respect des principes de la démocratie, des droits humains et du multilatéralisme. Chers collègues, chers amis, notre feuille de route pour renforcer notre coopération est ambitieuse. Au-delà des mots, nous voulons y donner du contenu pour relever les défis d'aujourd'hui et de demain. Cette ambition, nous la portons ensemble avec toute la diversité qui forme notre richesse et dans le respect pour les uns et les autres. Et si je peux émettre un vœu ce matin, mon vœu le plus cher est de continuer à avancer ensemble. Je vous remercie.
Merci, ma chère Hadja. Thank you to the Belgian Minister. And now I am going to give the floor to the Prime Minister, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Fiji, Mr. Rabukta.
Thank you.
Yes. You want to go there?
Yeah, I'll go there. My sincere apologies, Your Excellencies. The High Representative and Vice President of the European Commission, Deputy Prime Ministers and Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I Very sorry, I've come from a long way around the globe to join with you in a very important forum. I bring with me warm greetings from the people of the Pacific who are right now complaining about the heat and the rain. I'm pleased to join you all today at the third edition of the Ministerial Dialogue between the European Union and its Indo-Pacific partners. Those of you who were there yesterday may have remembered that I was last involved in these discussions, perhaps in a different format, almost 30 years ago when I chaired the joint ministerial meeting of the joint ACP-EU councils. But today we stand at a crossroad, confronted by a world of interconnected, complex crises and geopolitical tensions. Our collective well-being hinges on our ability to forge a new path toward a more sustainable, equitable, and peaceful nature and future. The Indo-Pacific region, which is a cradle of diverse cultures and natural wonders, is at the epicenter of these transformations, imitating the complexities of the world beyond. More so for developing economies in the Blue Pacific, the impact of geopolitical rivalry, strategic competition for resources amid the escalating climate crisis, impact on the well-being of our people and our environment. Recognizing our limited capacity to address global challenges individually, we try and work collectively as a society. We welcome the EU Indo-Pacific Strategy and Global Gateway Initiative in promoting geostrategic cooperation to achieve common goals. The recent endorsement of the Samoa Agreement between the EU and the OACP member states marks a significant milestone in strengthening our bilateral ties between the European Union and its OACP partners. EU's dedication to fostering free and fair trade, sustainable supply chains, and digital innovation presents an opportunity to inspire economic growth and address poverty in our region. We are optimistic that the EU's active engagement will support our economic policies and coherence on key elements such as tax policies, trade regulations, and the free movement of people, goods, and services. Your Excellencies, our Blue Pacific is facing an existential crisis, the all-encompassing impacts of climate change to our homes, and I said this yesterday, our ancestral lands, our food systems, our livelihoods, our sovereignty, and our dignity. Pacific leaders have rightly declared climate change a security issue, recognizing its far-reaching impact on stability and peace in our region. The stark reality faced by many coastal communities across the Blue Pacific is the arduous, intricate, and costly process of relocating individuals, families, and communities in response to rising seas encroaching on our homes and our communities. We welcome the EU's unwavering commitment to environmental stewardship and the significant strides made in promoting green and climate-friendly policies. At the same time, we caution that the regulations, policies, and initiatives, while aimed at fostering a greener planet, may inadvertently place undue burdens on developing nations such as ours, and perhaps yours, as we saw in the various demonstrations around our meetings yesterday. We must adopt a rational approach to mitigate any negative impacts of our green policies, one that acknowledges the different capacities of developing and less developed countries like the Pacific small island developing states. By providing financial and technical support to countries transitioning to renewable energy and improving energy efficiency, and by offering preferential trade terms to incentivize sustainable development practices, the EU can demonstrate its commitment to global sustainability while ensuring that its actions contribute to the prosperity and well-being of less industrialized countries. We must work together to create a future where environmental protection and economic advancement are not mutually exclusive, but rather mutually reinforcing. Your Excellencies, the Blue Pacific envisages to be a zone of peace, an ocean of peace. It is a call that I have been making, a call that I made at regional and global forums last year. It is a call that I now have the opportunity to make to you, Excellencies and dear friends at this forum. We want to be a region free from militarization and conflict, in line with the United Nations Charter and the values of multilateralism and collective action. Guided by the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent, we want to work together with partners in the Indo-Pacific and EU to protect our vast ocean space. The EU is a key partner in our pursuit for a peaceful and secure Pacific region. Your Excellencies, I urge us all to reaffirm our commitment to shaping a future where peace, prosperity, and environmental stewardship prevail. Let us envision an Indo-Pacific that stands as a beacon of peace, a sanctuary for biodiversity, and a harbinger of sustainable development for all. Let us harness the power of collaboration to navigate the challenges that lie ahead, building a partnership that transcends geographical boundaries and is rooted in mutual respect, in understanding, and in prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Fiji. Now the floor is the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs of Laos.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Excellency Joseph Borrell, High Representative for the European Union and for Foreign Affairs and Security. Excellencies, colleagues, at the outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the European External Action Service and the Council of EU for inviting us to attend this EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum and to speak at this opening plenary session. The Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean regions, or Indo-Pacific, are one of the most important and dynamic regions and a center of economic growth. ASEAN attaches great importance to these regions as ASEAN lies in their center. We view the dynamics in the Indo-Pacific should continue to bring about peace, stability, development, and prosperity for the people in Southeast Asia and beyond. Against this backdrop, ASEAN adopted the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific in 2019. The AOIP served as a guide for ASEAN in engaging with all external partners in the Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean regions on the 4 identified key areas, namely maritime cooperation, connectivity, UN SDG, economic and other possible areas of cooperation. ASEAN is determined to continue to lead the shaping of the region's economic and security architecture through ASEAN-led mechanism anchored in the AOIP. Therefore, we promote the implementations of the AOIP through concrete, practical, and tangible cooperation projects and activities with our partners. We welcome the support of all partners to implement the AOIP, among others, through different forms of collaboration and support, including from the European Union. The EU support to AOIP has clearly been demonstrated in the joint leaders' statement of the ASEAN-EU commemorative summit adopted by the ASEAN and EU leaders on the 14th December 2022 on the occasions of the 45th anniversaries of ASEAN-EU dialogue relations. We note that both the AOIP and the EU strategies for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific shares relevant fundamental principles in promoting an open, inclusive, transparent, and rule-based regional architecture in the Indo-Pacific region, in which ASEAN is central. ASEAN and EU are committed to strengthening our cooperation. This afternoon, we will hold the 24th ASEAN-EU Ministerial Meeting, where we will further discuss and explore ways and means to further strengthen the ASEAN-EU strategic partnership, including the implementation of AOIP. The Laos PDRs acknowledges the strong and evolving EU-ASEAN partnership. This dynamic relationship has promoted mutual respect, better understanding, and prosperity. We appreciate the EU for its continued support of the ASEAN centrality. Initiatives of the European Union, such as the Global Gateway Initiative, the Team Europe Initiative on Sustainable Connectivity, and the Green Team Europe Initiative, aimed at supporting sustainable investment, including sustainable connectivity and green initiative, are in line with ASEAN ongoing initiatives. We should further explore ways and means to streamline our initiative where possible for mutual benefits of our two regions. Excellencies, the Laos PDI is chairing ASEAN this year with the theme ASEAN Enhancing Connectivity and Resilience. We believe that connectivity and resilience responds to the needs of both ASEAN and the European Union. As the chair of ASEAN this year, the Laos PDI stands ready to work with the European Union to advance the ASEAN-EU strategic partnership to a new height. This year is also a Visit Laos year 2024, so we look forward to welcoming more European tourists and tourists from other parts of the world to the Laos PDR. May I conclude by wishing the EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum a great success. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for your nice words, dear Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Laos. And now I give the floor. It's a great pleasure to give the floor to Retno Marsudi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Etsaribi Borrell, colleagues, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. When we met in Stockholm in May last year, the Ukraine issue was there until now. Today, we meet here in Brussels and we are facing another challenge, the very worrying situation in Gaza, which is also igniting further conflicts in the wider region. At the same time, we also see the continuing great power rivalries and the widening capacity gaps between nations that hampers our efforts in achieving the SDGs. From year to year, the challenges that we face are not diminishing. Instead, they are increasing. Therefore, what we need to gain from this conference is the strengthening of collaboration, the strengthening of cooperation, the strengthening of partnership to advance prosperity and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. We don't want to see the Indo-Pacific region become another theater of rivalry. Instead, we envision the region as epicentrum of growth. Therefore, during the Indonesia chairmanship, efforts in ASEAN, efforts to strengthen collaboration in the Indo-Pacific region were our top priority, including by holding the ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum and furthering the relation with the Pacific Island Forum, PIF, and Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA. Indeed, the principles that I outlined in Stockholm last year are still and even more relevant. The cooperation in the Indo-Pacific should be inclusive and focus on concrete cooperation, and it should uphold international laws and paradigm of collaboration. Those principles are embodied in the AOIP, ASEAN's guide in navigating the dynamic of the region, and also our term of engagement with our partner in the wider region. My colleagues from Laos PDR also mentioned about it. Colleagues, at the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Retreat in Luang Prabang, Laos, 29 January, we agreed to continue mainstreaming implementation of AOIP in all ASEAN-led mechanisms, serving as our basis for collaboration and partnership with all partners. The European Union is certainly a crucial partner for ASEAN, for Indonesia, in realizing a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific. To conclude, I would like to once again underline the importance of respecting international law in a consistent manner. Without respect of international law, the mighty will continue to take all. No state is above the law. ASEAN and EU should be at the front line in respecting values and principles of the international law. The respect that should also be applied to Palestine, to Gaza. For more than 7 decades, Palestine has been encountering continuing injustice. Will we continue to keep silent? For Indonesia, the answer is clear. We will not. Whatever the challenges are, Indonesia will be always with the people of Palestine to fight for their rights. We will continue to defend justice and humanity. It is also very important that we should continue the work for UNRWA, for the people of Palestine. So I would like to make an appeal to all of you to listen to your heart and to do the right thing, to stop atrocities in Gaza, in Palestine. I do believe that the EU and all of us, as a firm supporter of the upholding of the international law, will also have a consistent position when it comes to Gaza. Consistency between values and action reflect the sincerity of our moral ground. It shows who we actually are. I thank you very much.
Thank you to Minister Marsudi. Thank you for remembering us that this open conflict it's a call to the humanity. I hope that this will be part of our discussions, and we'll take care certainly of these very tragic events, and especially with respect to the support to the Palestinian people, in which the European Union is trying to do as much as we can, but certainly more can be done. Sweden, Tobias, Minister, colleague.
Excellencies and colleagues, I'm happy to once again see representatives of the EU and Indo-Pacific region gathered in one room. Together, we represent not only two dynamic regions, but a significant part of the world's population as well as economy. I look forward to, with old and new friends, discuss challenges and opportunities of importance for us all. I would like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to my dear colleague Josep Borrell and his excellent team for organizing today's team and today's forum, and also, of course, to my dear colleague Hadja Labib and the Belgian presidency of the EU for hosting us all. When we co-hosted the forum in Stockholm in May last year, one of the most striking impressions was the strong momentum in the EU Indo-Pacific relationship. And since then, key parts of what I would like to call the Stockholm momentum has been translated into action, such as the Samoa Agreement, the progress in relaunched free trade negotiations, the finalized trade and partnership agreements, and the cooperation and commitment we displayed together at the COP in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, the very core of this forum is the notion that the EU and the Indo-Pacific regions are interlinked. We share interests and face common challenges, all of which need common solutions. As such, we must look to the future together. The case for strengthening our partnership is now stronger than ever. Our common agenda must be broad, must be ambitious, and let me underline a few key points. First, the tremendous potential for a deeper and more integrated economic cooperation. 40% of the EU's trade is with the Indo-Pacific. And to foster shared prosperity and capitalize on the opportunities in both our regions, it is essential to encourage economic growth and enhance our resilience. The nexus of trade, global challenges, and security is evident in global value chains. An ambitious free trade agenda is essential. Increasing trade and investments with all partners in the Indo-Pacific region is important to create robust supply chains and inclusive growth. In a free and open market, innovative and competitive businesses contribute both to growth and welfare and to the green and digital transitions. So let us work together towards removing trade barriers and implementing a mutually beneficial trade agenda. Second, the urgency of combating climate change is an undeniable fact. The Indo-Pacific region is one of the most vulnerable to the consequences of climate change. More extreme weather events are expected to threaten the livelihood and safety of millions across the region. And for many, including several small island states, the climate change is already an existential threat. Sweden and the EU is firmly committed to the Paris Agreement. The outcome of the COP28 in Dubai is a clear proof of what we can achieve when we work together. And for the first time, all countries have agreed to transition away from fossil fuels. The agreement to establish a new fund for climate-related loss and damage was also an important milestone. So let us together continue to work to accelerate the green transition, decrease global greenhouse gas emissions, and promote more secure energy, innovative solutions, and disaster resilience. Third, we face complex and interconnected security challenges. The geopolitical competition and deterioration of the global security environment affects both our regions. The continuation of Russia's war against Ukraine, as well as the grave situation in the Middle East, affect us all. And we're also deeply concerned about the tensions in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. We must work together in upholding the UN Charter and the rules-based international order. We must also ensure maritime security in the Indo-Pacific for peace and stability, as well as for safeguarding trade and critical supply chains. Integral to our shared principles is the recognition that economic coercion is harmful and destabilizing. There is also a number of non-traditional security threats of serious concerns for both our regions, such as transboundary organized crime, space and cyber threats, hybrid warfare, and disinformation. There is a need to build capacity, especially on new technologies such as AI, and strategies to tackle these threats together. Colleagues, finally, I am convinced that today's discussions will continue to deepen the dialogue on how we can ensure prosperity, sustainability, and security for all, recognizing that these issues are interconnected and require inclusive approaches. It is my firm belief that we can tackle our common and parallel challenges jointly and make a real difference as partners. Let me conclude by underlining Sweden's commitment to a vision of cooperation, integration and partnership between the EU and the Indo-Pacific. Let us continue to translate momentum into action together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobias. Now it's the turn for the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Madagascar, Mr. Rasata. Madame Rasata.
Excellence, Monsieur Joseph Borrell, aux représentants de l'Union européenne pour les affaires étrangères et la politique de sécurité. Excellence, Madame Hadja Laïb, ministre des Affaires étrangères, des Affaires européennes et du commerce extérieur et des institutions culturelles fédérales du Royaume de Belgique. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs de délégation, distingués invités, chers participants. C'est un honneur pour Madagascar, mon pays, de pouvoir participer à cette session inaugurale du 3e Forum ministériel de l'Union européenne pour la coopération en Indo-Pacifique. C'est également un devoir, parce qu'en tant que représentants de nos pays respectifs et garants de la durabilité de nos régions, et ensemble de notre planète, nous avons l'obligation de réussir. Réussir à coopérer et réussir à atteindre nos objectifs pour le développement durable, la prospérité et le bien-être de nos populations. L'Indo-Pacifique, c'est le noyau central de nos discussions d'aujourd'hui. Beaucoup d'encre a coulé autour de ce concept que chacun décrit selon sa compréhension. Compte tenu de sa place stratégique dans ce vaste espace, Madagascar reconnaît l'importance de ces échanges constructifs et remercie l'Union européenne pour l'organisation de ce forum annuel. Dans un contexte où 30% du trafic mondial de pétrole transite par le canal de Mozambique, mon pays ainsi que les autres pays de notre voisinage immédiat jouent un rôle clé. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la coopération, lorsqu'elle repose sur un partenariat sincère peut aboutir à des résultats impactants. Je pense notamment au programme régional de sécurité maritime financé par l'Union européenne, ayant permis, entre autres, la mise en place du Centre régional de fusion d'informations maritimes basé à Madagascar et qui couvre près de 60 millions de kilomètres carrés de zones maritimes et plus de 25 pays. C'est un modèle de réussite qui mérite d'être répliqué et d'être poursuivi. Dans d'autres domaines, les programmes déployés par la Team Europe Initiative, que ce soit en réponse au Covid-19 ou en appui au Grand Sud de Madagascar, démontrent que cette coopération peut aller encore plus loin. Pour Madagascar, comme pour de nombreux pays de cette zone, le changement climatique et la dégradation de l'environnement en particulier sont des menaces existentielles. Il est évident qu'une coopération étroite est essentielle pour relever les défis communs, parvenir à une croissance économique durable et renforcer notre résilience. Après les élections présidentielles tenues en décembre 2023, Madagascar a défini les 3 piliers prioritaires pour son développement. Et je cite, « Le développement humain, l'industrialisation et la bonne gouvernance, ce sont désormais les fondements de la coopération que Madagascar souhaite tisser avec le reste du monde. » L'objectif principal de notre action internationale est de nouer des partenariats solides pour renforcer nos capacités financières, matérielles et techniques afin de faire face aux menaces multiformes à la paix, à la sécurité, ainsi qu'au développement, dont les effets du changement climatique en particulier. Vous le savez, Madagascar figure parmi les pays qui sont les plus vulnérables au changement climatique. Notre action est ainsi guidée par la recherche de partenariats qui sont basés sur les aspirations que nous aurons exprimées. Et nous comptons sur des partenaires tels que l'Union européenne, au sein d'organisations régionales comme la Commission de l'océan Indien, qui joue également un rôle important dans ce vaste espace qu'est l'Indo-Pacifique. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'engagement de Madagascar a commencé dès 1971 pour préserver l'océan Indien comme une zone de paix. Aujourd'hui, en prenant part à ce 3e forum, nous avons à cœur de préciser que notre volonté de coopérer est bien là. Nous remercions l'Union européenne pour son appui à différents projets de développement à Madagascar et nous remercions également tous les pays qui expriment leur volonté de poursuivre les coopérations existantes avec Madagascar. Je me réjouis donc de pouvoir échanger aujourd'hui avec vous tous et je souhaite que cette 3e édition du Forum pour la coopération en Indo-Pacifique soit placée toujours sous le signe du respect mutuel et que nous parvenions à faire converger nos points de vue pour la prospérité et le bien-être de toutes les populations de la zone. Je vous remercie. Misao Chatupku.
Merci beaucoup à Madame Rassata, la ministre du Madagascar, pour ces mots. Et maintenant, la parole, c'est to the Minister of State of United Arab Emirates, Noura Al-Kabi.
Thank you, High Representative Joseph Borrell, Excellencies, distinguished guests. Let me start by congratulating our Belgian hosts on their presidency of the European Council. I'm also very pleased to have the opportunity to address this forum again this year. Countries bordering the Indian and Pacific Oceans not only house a significant portion of the world's population, but also account for approximately 60% of the world's GDP. And so they have the potential to wield a significant strategic importance at a time of huge shocks in the geopolitical system. The United Arab Emirates has long been an advocate for dialogue and cooperation. We firmly believe that to address today's challenges, we must double down on establishing long-standing partnerships, building on shared priorities, and fostering international cooperation based on solidarity. And so allow me to focus on 3 areas where we see the greatest potential for partnership. First, trade and economic cooperation. The UAE sits at the heart of strategic and geographic crossroads, which has allowing for its status as a global trade hub, spurred further by policies promoting an environment conducive to investments. Comprehensive economic partnership agreements, such as the ones signed by the UAE with India, Indonesia, and Cambodia, to name a few, exemplify the UAE's commitment to fostering international economic ties and modernizing trade by delivering inclusive and sustainable development. We see the broadening of these trade relations, including with the European Union, as absolutely essential in order to reap the full benefits of our existing close trade ties. We are also committed to strengthening economic corridors with our partners from Asia through the Middle East to Europe, improving connectivity routes through initiatives like IMAC, the India-Middle East Economic Corridor, serve as the blueprint for increased collaboration and economic prosperity and go hand in hand with tighter trade cooperation. The digital economy also brings with it great potential and cannot be ignored, something that the UAE is eager to harness. The digital divide is a reality, and while the Indo-Pacific is the world's fastest growing region for digital connectivity, only around 16% of small and medium enterprises in the region are digitally integrated. The Asian Development Bank estimates that the region would need to invest some $2.3 trillion in telecommunications in the coming years to ensure that the digital growth and economic growth keep pace. Second, the transition towards a green and sustainable future is a key shared priority. The context of the historic UAE consensus at COP28, countries have agreed to transition away from fossil fuels and towards cleaner sources of energy in a just, orderly, and equitable manner. Notably, countries have agreed to make efforts to triple renewable energy capacities and double energy efficiency by 2030, an objective that has been jointly championed by the EU and the UAE. And while renewable have become the cheapest power in most of the world, we all know closing the energy access gap and realizing a green transition at the same time will necessitate significant efforts. The EU and the Indo-Pacific region will have to remain closely engaged to address the persistent lack of affordable and accessible finance for renewable and to encourage policy frameworks that are conducive to this transition. But despite our best efforts to mitigate the devastating impacts of climate change, we know that many regions are already suffering from climate-induced losses and damages. Pacific small island states are the frontliners of this trend. As key outcomes of COP28, we are proud to have successfully operationalized the Fund for Loss and Damage, crucial in supporting developing countries in rebuilding from the damages caused by climate change. And finally, a secure and stable world are the fundamental building blocks of the shared vision of EU Indo-Pacific region. The UAE has been advocate for regional peace, tolerance, and constructive dialogue. We remain actively engaged in diplomatic efforts towards de-escalation and addressing conflicts in the region and beyond. Our mutual commitment to fostering prosperity, economic growth, and a green transition all serve the purpose of a more secure world. Recent geopolitical transitions and deterioration of the security environment underscore the centrality of direct dialogue and collaboration as the primary tools for de-confliction and de-escalation. The UAE, for its part, remains committed to these principles with partners from Europe and Asia. Excellencies, all told, the sky's the limit when it comes to greater cooperation between our regions. I look forward to witnessing the positive impact of our shared endeavors in the days, months, and years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Minister Al-Kabi. This ends our opening session. The Master of Ceremony will give indications about how to proceed to go to the round table.